Gloomy. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Tunnganarniq show. I'm your host today. My name is Margaret Noxana. We are broadcasting live out of the Inuvialuit Communication Society. On today's episode, we have Brian Wade from here in Inuvik. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
So, I don't know if you remember on a few episodes ago, we had my Auntie Agnes. Her name is Agnes White. She is my Nanak's sister, and today we have Brian Wade, and he is my cousin. We're related. Your mom, your late mom, is my Nanak's sister also.
Yes. So
Brian and I are second cousins, yeah. So how are you doing?
I'm good, really good. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So I am really excited to have you on today's show.
Thank you.
I personally recommended you when we needed someone. I was like, we can get Brian on, and he could give he can tell us his story of being an urban Inuk previously, and then now reconnecting to our culture today.
Yeah.
So I always like to start the show on where you started. So your mom is from...
My mom is from Tuck.
Yeah.
Lena Grubin.
Mm-hmm.
She was born and raised here.
Mm-hmm.
To give myself a little background, I lived in Inuvik until grade 6.
Mm-hmm.
My mom made the choice to move
Mm-hmm.
so that I could attend junior high and high school down there and get a better quality of education.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did, and I lived down there until after high school.
Yeah. So I knew you when I was a little kid, and then you moved away.
Mm-hmm.
So you were my cousin who lived in a city that I've never been to. What was it like growing up, from moving here to Calgary?
Well, being so young when I lived here, I didn't have a real connection to our culture yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then through my, teen years where it was a little bit more important, I was totally disengaged from our culture.
Mm-hmm.
I'd see stories that my mom would give me about my uncles out hunting, or stories passed over the phone, but I'd never experienced it firsthand.
Mm-hmm. I remember going camping with you when you would come up every now and then, and your mom being there. Yeah, she taught me how to put bits of chocolate in oatmeal. Yeah, she was like, put some chocolate and some bacon.
Yeah.
That's the one memory I really have of her out camping at Husky Lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you and Gerald and Logan off on skidoos.
Yeah, we'd come up for holidays and
Yeah.
we'd go out to the cabins.
Mm-hmm.
My mom loved to fish, so I guess that's where my love of fishing came from.
Yeah.
But we came up here and we experienced it.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved back?
I was back and forth. It took me a long time to actually commit to living in Inuvik. So I'd come up here for work, and then when the work would slow down, I'd move back south. So I'd follow the work, but I didn't really... That was probably when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And then back and forth for a couple of years, and now we've been back here for 6 years, I believe, solid. And we've planted roots, and we're not going anywhere.
That's good. So... I have followed you, like I said, we're cousins, and I have you on social media, and I always love to hear the stories of you and your journey, where you've started to where you are now. We can talk a little bit about your connections and what you have done to live a more traditional lifestyle, and how it worked with the people around you, how it all started. So I'm trying to think of where we could start. We could start maybe when you moved back home. Did you initially start right away going out camping, or was that something that you gradually had to...
It was just like a light switch. It was an interest that I've always had to fish. So that was my main drive, was to find where I could go fishing. The resources to get out on our land put quite a roadblock in the way of most people. I mean, it's $18,000 to get a skidoo.
Yeah.
So you need the equipment to get out, and that was big. But once I got that, my wife surprised me with a skidoo one year, so that gave me the resource that I was able to get out and start exploring.
How long ago do you say that was?
I think it was about 5 years ago.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that you and your wife every now and then have a fish fry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just something to supplement. Like I said, it's expensive to go out on the land. So I look at other ways of supplementing an income to get out there.
So I want to ask you, because I'm genuinely interested, what does that look like when you want to do a fish fry for, you open it up to the entire town of Inuvik, and it's pretty popular.
Yeah, it's really busy. Typically, it's average about 50 plates that we do. So it's like 4 or 5 hours of chaos after work and then all done, but it's rewarding.
But I want to know, like, how does it start? Like, how do you harvest the fish? Like, where do you...
So I go out to Husky Lakes. That's where my cabin is. So we do a lot of fishing out there. Wintertime, I do a lot of fishing in the Delta. So just what time of year and what fish I'm fishing at that time.
Are you rod and reeling the whole time, or are you using a fishnet?
No, I rod and reel.
You rod and reel enough to do 50 plates.
Yeah, I do my homework to find where the fish are, and I'm pretty committed and dedicated.
Does Carmen ever get, like, do you guys ever have a competition on who can get more fish? Because I know Carmen likes to fish. Sorry, I should say Carmen is his wife. Yeah, do you guys ever get in competitions on who can fish more? I know it's hard when you have kids. But
She gets pretty determined, but I think I have a little bit more patience than her to sit out there and bear the cold and the elements. So.
Yeah, I would be very competitive if it was reversed and it was me and my spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do a lot of fishing, and you run them, like, sporadically.
Yeah, so I fish year round. I mean, we're out at our cabin I'm a weekend warrior, so I work Monday to Friday. And then usually Friday after work, we take off somewhere to our cabin or else out on the Delta.
Yeah.
Fish.
So fishing's how you got started. And then I know that you're an avid hunter.
Yes.
As also being a fisher.
Yeah, so hunting it didn't really interest me when I lived down in the city. It wasn't until I came home and I realized that I'm a capable man, that I could go out and harvest my own animals rather than looking for meat from my uncles or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I did was I actually mentored under one of my cousins. And I followed him around for a whole year, learning the trails and the techniques and what to look for.
It's a skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was able to follow him around for a whole year and learn the skills that are required to
be able to hunt. And you also needed to get your equipment for all of that too.
Yeah, that's another thing. So skidoos, guns, boggins, boats, it never ends. But
yeah, and I often see, and I'm only going to bring this up because I truly admire it, when you do harvest. Do you ever hunt caribou, or is it just mostly moose?
I like to hunt moose. That's my favorite thing to hunt. But I do hunt caribou.
Yeah.
We go up to Husky Lakes, and we could harvest caribou there, or else I go south or over to a Clavic and hunt the porcupine.
I was going to say, this is what I admire also. I'm interested in fish fry because I think that's, like, super interesting that you're able to start that. But what I admire is that what I have seen in the past, now the season's just starting, but last season I remember seeing you would have, like, how many bags of moose meat for free? Like, people would say, you would post, whoever comments or asks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to do that. I mean, everybody doesn't have the means to go out. So I like to provide. I like to share my catch and provide with our community. Once you start thinking outside of yourself and think of yourself as part of the community, you want to contribute to that as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I want to start doing too. Like, my spouse and I were just getting started again in the season, but it's something that I saw and I think it's a great idea. I'm assuming that a lot of people must do it, like, people they know, but I think it's amazing when you can post it online, and then people who might not have connections can see that post and be like, wow, I could have a bag of moose meat.
Yeah, I mean, I have the people that I like to fill up their freezers for them, elders or single mothers.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, that some of those people don't reach out to you, so to offer this to them.
Yeah, some people just don't have access.
Yeah, I mean, we take it for granted as well to have country food. So, to share. Yeah. It's just in our culture.
It is, yes. And that's one thing that we talked about a lot with, I'll just call her Auntie Agnes. Yeah, she would talk a lot about how we all just take care of each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the next thing we could talk about is how, like, again, and I just keep going back to online because I find that that's a really good resource to use. You and Carmen worked really, really hard in 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
To fundraise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys were crowned the Muskrat Jamboree King and Queen.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was that like?
It was chaotic. I should start with the idea that came behind it. So I wanted to build a cabin, and with the prices of lumber, I needed to find a way to generate the money for this. Mm-hmm. And I saw that if we raised the most, we'd get, $5,000. So I signed us up without actually telling my wife, and then I told her.
Oh my goodness.
But in the end, it all worked out. We got a cabin. We ended up winning. So
I want to ask you though, like, what was that like? Because how many weeks do you have to fundraise for that?
I think it was like 7 weeks.
7 weeks.
So we were busy, 20 hours a day with work and fundraising and planning. It was quite the task.
And you had to get, like, you contact yourself, because the way it works with fundraising is you get someone to donate, and then you do raffle. You raffle off the tickets.
Yeah. So I was trying to think outside the box and away from typical fundraising events.
Yeah.
So using the online platform, it was very beneficial.
Yeah.
We were able to raise quite a bit of money that way.
Yeah. Me and Greg were, like, constantly watching all the time and buying tickets from the ones we wanted to try and win. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, we'd be sitting there and we'd be like, how are they doing all of this? How are they doing all this? And we just watched, and then we watched you guys win.
Yeah.
And we were like, what? And then we saw you guys build a camp. Which is a beautiful camp.
I'd like to say that was, our goal was to help the community as good as it was to fundraise for an event.
Yeah.
There was also motive behind it to build a cabin.
Obviously, yes.
But it was for a good cause, and now we share a cabin with a lot of people. That anybody wants to come out and experience the land, we'll take them out for a weekend.
Who helped you build your cabin?
There was a bunch of people. So my brother-in-law, friends. Mm-hmm. So it was a group effort for sure.
Was it hard to figure it out?
It was hard. I'm not a carpenter at all. I'm more of the point fingers kind of guy. Yeah. But I had a good crew that was able to help me. So.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring up your son.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Yeah, so I got a 12-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. Mm-hmm.
And they both love to go camping.
No.
Oh.
My daughter doesn't like it. She's connected to her phone and loves her friends, which is the age. But my son, on the other hand, loves to come with me. He comes with me everywhere I go. If it's moose hunting or boat ride or fishing, river's there. So.
Yeah. I'll just say, I was in Abby's shoes. I married a hunter. Now that's my dream, to be able to live seasonally out on the land. Kind of like Uncle Sam and Auntie Margaret. Mm-hmm. They live seasonally. And my Nanak and Dadak, your mom moved down south. Yeah. But she did live, when she was living up here, a lot out on the land. But that's my goal too. So I definitely admire you in a way that you found, and again, a way you're giving back. It's like
I'm still trying to find the means. I mean, I'd love to spend more time out there, but in today's world, you cannot just not work. Yeah. So if I could find a way to make money out there, and
so does River expect to go out?
Absolutely. If I'm packing up my hunting bag or fishing gear, he knows and he's ready to go. And if I leave him home, he is giving his mom the hardest time, looking out the window, waiting for me to come.
Yeah. So. Mm-hmm. And he loves to go. I'll just keep talking about him for a little bit. He loves to go hunting too.
He does.
Yeah.
And anything to go with the skidoo or the boat or just an adventure, he is ready to go.
Yeah. What is it like for when you're taking out your son? Like,
it's rewarding because I didn't have that as a kid. I wasn't able to go out, so I want to, share what I know with my son. Mm-hmm. Also, I want to share what I know with my daughter, you know, in the sense of making dry meat and being able to process an animal. And so I want to pass those those skills down to my kids as well.
So, who taught you, because that's a skill too, on how to process food traditionally? I was taught by, well, my dad tried to force me as a child, and my nana said, you don't have to force her to do anything. Then I said, I'm married. Well, I am married, but I'm with Greg, who is a hunter, and so I had to learn from his side of the family, because that's where I was when I was doing it. Who taught you and Carmen how to do all that stuff?
So my wife was born and raised in Inuvik, so she knew. Myself, like I said, I traveled around with a cousin of mine, and he taught me how to field dress an animal and how we cut it up and how we work with the meat. But dry meat and fish and stuff like that, I knew what I liked, so I kind of just did it, and it worked out. People like it, so.
Yeah. Oh, what else can we talk about? Do you have any stories that you want to share, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know anything specific to be put on the spot, but times of the year that we look forward to are springtime, of course. Springtime, the past 2 years since we built our cabin, we spend anywhere from 3-4 weeks out there. Yeah. Just the family and having visitors, and so we look forward to that. Yeah, we fish a lot and just hang out. Yeah. It's good to unplug and disengage from society for a while. And
yeah. I was trying to ask you if like anything sticks out, like if you could share any stories of like hunting stories or anything. I know, but we talked a little bit about it, but I did say I like to hear stories.
I could talk about my son. So when I take my son moose hunting, and I mean we come around a corner, or I'll speak last year's moose that we got. So we're coming around a corner, and my son just about jumps off and runs towards the moose. He is so excited, and he's just about jumping out of his skin. He wants that moose. Yeah. Both him and the moose got scared at the same time and ran. I was like, oh my god, we just lost this moose. But we ended up getting it in the end. But it just shows his enthusiasm.
Yeah. He was not scared.
Not scared at all. He would have hugged and kissed that moose if he could have.
Does he enjoy eating traditional food too?
He does. He's not picky at all.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's so funny.
Right now I have a hindquarter out on the table, and every time he comes home, or he sees meat, he's always moo 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 moo. He's all excited, right?
Yeah, that's really sweet. Yeah. Yeah. I was talking to on a previous show also with Tanya Grubin, and she was saying how she was like putting shows together and getting ideas, and she got an idea to do a fishing show, which I said it. I don't know if you heard it, but I said right on there that when I heard that, I immediately thought of my cousin Brian and his passion for fishing.
I love it. I love being out fishing. It doesn't matter the weather to me. If it's minus 30 or whatnot, I go. And
did you see Tanya put out the promo that she
did? I did.
Yeah.
She sent it to me, yeah. It was kind of funny. I giggled.
Were you fishing while you were listening?
It would have been good tunes if there was radio where I fished, but there's no radio, so.
We gotta get those old style ones. Like my nana had like a big old style radio.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I can't remember what they're called. Apparently they're expensive, but you can get them down south.
Okay.
Where they like
radios. Those silver ones?
I can't remember. Hers was a black and silver and it was huge. Yeah. But it worked in Zeeman.
Oh, okay.
Like, and that's like, what, 4 hours outside of Tuck? Yeah. I used to sit and listen to, what was it called? Commercials? Like storytelling and commercials. Yeah. I remember I was like really young.
So like in this day and age, there's so much technology. They're like cell phone boosters. And I'll tell you, my wife, she was convinced that we could get a cell phone booster, that we'd have internet and cell phones out at our cabin. Yeah. I was like, no, we can't. We ended up going through 3 different cell phone boosters so that I could convince her that we can't get cell service out there. And I was right, but it was kind of funny this day and age what we try to get out of our land. I mean, the whole purpose out there for me is to unplug.
Disconnect.
Yeah, but I guess the amenities of having a phone and you know, social media out there might be good sometimes, but maybe I'll get my daughter to come out if I get, social media.
Why wouldn't it work out at your camp?
There's too many hills. I'm kind of in a bowl, so there's hills all around me. But
That's so strange because a lot of people have them in Husky Lakes. Is it because it's flat?
yeah, so more towards Tuck side, you're able to get it, where Nuvik side is kind of hilly. So
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
I was thinking that because you're not like too far out of town, you might be able to get.
And then she got me to put a bunch of like 2x2s together to make a long tower and like climb up on the hill and hold it up. And I was like, still, there's nothing, like, let's give up.
That's so funny. Yeah, my Uncle Jumbo, he has like a camp close to my dad's camp, but his is like all tin.
Okay.
And we'd be at his house in the evening playing cards, kids on their phones for a little bit. And then we'd go home and my uncle would he'd always turn it off while we're there, just, you don't need it on the whole time.
Yeah.
And then early in the morning, we're like, I wonder if Uncle's up. I wonder if his thing is working. And then we're all laughing at trying to get service. But he said because his house is tin, it just blocks all the signal outside of the house. That's too funny, though. But I agree with you because I also say the same thing. My dad wants a booster, and I say the same thing, that I don't want a booster. I like that there's absolutely no connection, and I sleep better.
I mean, we have an inReach for emergencies,
Yeah.
and that works good. I mean,
That's the same thing that we do, is use an inReach for emergencies. Too funny. So, sorry. What else do you guys like to do? Like, you're camping on the weekends all the time. You made a ton of connections.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you with people? Like, because I know not everyone is going to be positive, but a lot of people probably respond in a positive way. And did you make a lot of connections with people, like outside of just your regular friends, like to be able to go hunting or to provide or?
Absolutely, and I've always had the mentality not to burn bridges, so I treat everybody with respect, and my mother was the same way. She always treated everybody very equal, so I take that philosophy. And through that, I've been able to reach out and make a lot of relationships professionally and for my subsistence lifestyle that I live as well.
Yeah.
It's good to engage with people that have the same interests as you. Also, just having the will to take people out, to teach, to pass knowledge down to others that may not have the opportunity. I take a lot of pride in that. I'm no professional by any means. I know enough to do what I do, but I'm always learning and willing to learn, but I'm also willing to teach people what I know.
So humble.
Well, you have to be in this world. There's so much ugly in this world.
I know.
You gotta.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it totally is from Auntie, I'll call her, she's your mom, but she's my Auntie Lena. It totally is. She made everyone feel loved and everyone admired her. Everyone felt connected to her. And I know because I felt that way to her, and I know that every single person felt that way to her.
Yes.
You were just lucky that she was your mom. And I think that's why a lot of people are. I can see the connection and how she lives through you. I can see that. Yeah, that's why I say admire. Probably that's probably exactly why.
And it's good by treating people like that. I was able to, find a passion that was rewarding. Not only in being able to provide for my family, but it also lets me live a healthy lifestyle. But it's opened up doors and got me involved in the community in a lot of ways. So.
Do you ever? You have a sister, Denise. Say,
Yeah.
hi.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, Denise. Do you ever get to send her? I don't know how it works with ENR and sending out traditional food. Do you ever get to send her?
Yes, I send her out care packages all the time.
Yeah.
She doesn't eat as much traditional food as I'd like her to, but she likes to hoard it in her freezer, but I want her to eat it, so.
Yeah, she must really appreciate. Did you find that you were able to get that as a child with your mom?
We ate some. Not much, but some.
Yeah. Because it was different back then.
Yeah, I mean, the means now, you're able to. But, like, looking at my lifestyle now, like, that's all we eat is traditional food, unless my daughter wants chicken fingers, so I'll buy that. But we just eat food that we catch off the land.
It's more sustainable.
It is.
Yeah, and it's more affordable than what you can get at the store.
I don't know about that, but...
Oh, I guess
just
I'm not looking at it.
I'll never do the math because it'll prove my wife right. But, like, for instance, I just looked 11 days for a moose.
Yeah.
So it adds up, but...
Man, okay, not to throw my own husband under the bus, but he goes hunting, and they really do hunt. Like, it's their passion, but sometimes you're not successful, and sometimes you are. Like, you're blessed if you are. So I can totally understand Carmen's point of view. 11 hunts. Yeah.
And then you send that text like, we got a moose, or we got caribou, and it's like...
You can stop holding your breath.
Now it's rewarding. It makes it worthwhile. But.
Yeah. No, I would say that it's all worth it when you get to live your traditional lifestyle. Like,
Absolutely.
you get to do what our ancestors have always done. And we're consuming the most natural food to our bodies here in this location.
I agree.
Yeah. So, how can you put a price on that?
Exactly.
Like, really?
Exactly.
And if you get to get, like, skidoos or four-wheelers or guns...
It's just a bonus.
Yeah. It's
Perk of the trade.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I know I said I wanted to talk about you and, like, growing up as an urban Inuk. And then reconnecting. Because the story is, like, your story that we're covering is a reconnection to your culture and your land. And I just want to hear about your son. He really is that cute. I mean, I enjoy Carmen's posts. I always watch. I always like. I enjoy, because we're all family. So I enjoy hearing. But your son is just so determined at the age of, what, 3?
3, yeah.
3 years old. So when he was trying to get the moose, he was 2?
Yeah, last year, yeah. I've taken him out 2 years in a row now.
Yeah.
So, this was the 3rd year. I took him out when he was 1. That one was kind of funny. I was in a truck. And I saw a moose, and I waved down tourists, and I said, "Can you watch my son while I go get this moose?" So they're like, "Okay." And so here I go after this moose. I ended up getting it, and then I came back and I just said, thank you. You know. But it was kind of funny how that worked out.
No stranger danger there.
I don't know how I told my wife that story, but now you know.
I'm so sorry, Carmen.
They were good. They were good tourists. There was no danger.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, not everyone is horrible in the world.
You have to be optimistic.
Yeah. And so, do you go hunting like every weekend then?
I like to go hunting or fishing. I could only take so much of being in town, and then life kind of becomes like nails on a chalkboard, where I just need to go and clear my mind, even if it's for a drive up towards Tuck, or a quick boat ride in the Delta, or a skidoo ride. It's just that getting out and reconnecting and refocusing your mind so that you're ready for another work week. That's the way I think about it. So
yeah. Would you say that that's what really brought you home?
I don't know.
To stay?
So when my mom passed, I was 21. I was at that age, kind of where life was. There wasn't a direction yet. My mom told me to go home, connect to your culture, find out who you are, and to find an Inuvialuit woman.
She would be proud.
So that's what I did, and I came home and I was able to discover this passion that I didn't realize growing up, but it was burning inside of me. And, you know, you try to fill that void with the nightlife or with alcohol or whatever. And by discovering this passion of our land and having that drive, it's really put a direction in my life. So.
Positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a positive direction. Yeah.
But when I came home, you know, it wasn't right away. It was more, you know, looking at my uncle's stories or hearing stories from friends or cousins and then wanting to be a part of that. And then once I got out there, exploring around and connecting with our land, that's where I really started feeling it.
Yeah. How did you guys decide the location of your camp?
I always fished around that area. Sort of add a modern twist here. So I was on Google Earth, and I always knew the area I fished, but I didn't actually like look at like flat areas or possible camp locations. So I brought out the lumber to the bay, and I took a good look at the bay, and I said, "That's where I'm building my camp."
Yeah.
And then so we dropped off the lumber, and I went through the ILA and got it licensed.
Is it far? Like, is it far off? Out of town? Do you have to travel for a long ways?
So it's I think it's like 55 kilometers out of town. But with the road there, it's easily accessible. So it's just I think it's 7 kilometers across the lake.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad.
Do you guys grow a lot? Is there a lot of wild berries like Ukbiks and cranberries?
There is, yeah.
There is?
Yeah, there is. There's lots of berries. There's lots of wildlife. There's lots of fish. So
yeah. Did you guys go berry picking this year?
We always try. It's very hard. Both my wife and I live a chaotic life. But we try to get out as much as we can.
Yeah. Have you guys seen any wildlife at your camp?
Oh yeah, there's always caribou or moose.
Yeah.
Walking by, knock on wood, I haven't seen any bears. But a wolverine came to our doorstep. So my son and I, we always, when we're out there, we go ice fishing early in the morning and let the girls wake up and have breakfast or whatever. And on our way back, I saw fresh wolverine tracks, so I followed them, and sure enough, they went right to my doorstep. So the wolverine came up, sniffed around the door, and then took off running when he heard us. So I dropped my son off, and I went chasing it. And those things could run, but...
Were you successful?
No, I didn't get it. No. They're smart. Like, it was up and down valleys, and, across creeks. It was very hard to chase. I was surprised.
So Abby and Carmen were home?
Yeah, Abby and Carmen were inside the cabin.
They didn't hear
had no idea, so...
Were they scared?
No, I don't think they were scared. It was more just an eye-opener. Like, okay, there's other things around. There's not just us.
Is no one asking for a dog?
Well, we have a dog, but I don't know how much good it is. It's about that big. Might be an appetizer.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. And you weren't successful though. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it going up and down creeks, but I wasn't able to get close enough to get a shot or anything. So.
Yeah, it was just too smart.
Yep, they're smart. So that's what I mean. You're always learning. I was taught to hunt caribou and moose.
Yeah.
So next I got to team up with some cousins to go out and teach me how to get predators, wolves, and wolverines. So.
My brother Gerald, I'll tell a little story. My brother Gerald, he was on the highway back when they had the Tuck Highway. Ice Road, back when they had the Tuck Ice Road. And he hit a wolverine with his truck. And he had two other people, they were both co-workers, I believe. He hit it with his truck. He ran over it because he didn't have a gun and he wanted it. So he hit it with the truck. And then he said, "Come on, you guys, let's go and get it." And the two other people said, "No. No way they're going to get out of the truck. What if it's not dead?" It ended up being dead.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and it got put on my niece's Parka.
Perfect.
So Nikki, his wife, she learned that's how she learned because she adopted the Navajo tradition, marrying my brother. But she learned from a few people in town how to flush and tan. Yeah. And that was what she practiced on.
Perfect.
So they were successful.
That's great. My Parky actually needs new fur, so I really want to get a wolverine so that my wife could do it for me. So.
Yeah, and then she could learn how to... Yeah. She might be yelling at you.
Yeah. I could ask Gerald how to get them with a truck. Seems easier.
Oh my goodness. Like when Gerald told me that story, we all laughed. We're all like, "What? You got so lucky, brother." That was, I've never seen a wolverine before.
Yeah, that was my first time too. I mean, all the miles that I put on, I guess it's one of those things that if you're not looking for it or you're not going to see it, right?
Yeah.
Like I've seen tracks and bear tracks and wolf tracks, but I've never actually chased after them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
When was this? Was this just last year?
That was just this spring.
you might want to get a dog. I mean,
A dog that's not an appetizer.
yeah.
Something that has a little
One
bark
that
to
will
it.
alert.
But this little dog, like, it's a Pekingese. And so Vince, so we get it, and it comes out to the cabin with us all the time. It goes in our jacket, and then it goes out to pee. And this thing goes on adventures. Like,
Yeah.
half the day, it's gone. Like, a fox could eat it, a bird could get it, like, anything could get it. And then it comes back, it's soaking wet, dripping, like nothing happened. Like, I'm worried for this dog's life. And it just comes back, like, nonchalant, like, hi. What's
Oh
for
my
supper kind of
gosh.
thing. But
My cheeks are sore. We had a dog. He wasn't an appetizer dog. He was a wiener dog, but his name was Nenzio, okay? He was 17 human years old, but he liked to go out camping. And he would be like sitting on the he would see us getting ready, sit on the four-wheeler or the skidoo, and then just sit there like you're not leaving me at home.
17 years old and still has
Yeah.
that job. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and when he passed away, they brought him to the camp because it was his favorite place to be. But he was a good dog. I mean, he was like not a little dog, but he would sleep at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
He would be at the foot of the bed, somehow on the bed, then underneath when we'd wake up. He's underneath the blanket
Yeah.
with us, but he kept your feet warm. So.
Yeah, this little dog, it curls up underneath the stove. Yeah.
What's
You-
your dog's name?
River named it Baby.
Oh.
So, if you ever hear my son, he's baby, baby. He can't say river, so he says Wawa, so Wawa baby.
Yeah.
Wawa's baby. But
That's too cute.
it's his buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both my kids. So.
That's so funny.
Do you remember Nanny's dog? So Nanny had a little black dog. I think it was a poodle. But she left it outside as a outside dog. So this poodle grew this hair. And, like, it was a big dog at the end of it. It was all hair. She just let it grow, right? She loved that dog so much. But this little poodle that turned into a great Arctic dog.
I'll say really quickly, our nanny, her name is Persis Grubin. She passed on last year, but she lived to be 101.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember her dog.
I think there was a bunch of them, but they
I
were all
remember-
like poodles and stuff like that.
I remember Move It.
Yeah, that was Buddy's dog.
Yeah. And then my mom told me, I like to move it.
So I'll tell you a funny story about moving. So one of the summers that we came up from Calgary, we were going out to our camp at Nulluk.
Uh-huh.
And Uncle Chucky, Uncle Buddy were taking me, and my Uncle Chucky let me use his eland to go with him. So we all took off from Tuck, away we go. And I was full out with the eland, and they were slowly pulling ahead. And I remember Chucky telling me, just stay on the trail, he'll find us.
Yeah.
So Move It at the time used to run behind Chucky and Buddy. And I remember that dog passing me. That's how slow I was. So here's this city boy going out to the camp like 3 hours away, following a trail. A dog passes me. I'm on an eland going slow, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's one of my childhood memories. So to go for a full circle, when I was learning our country, my Uncle Chucky has maps up on his wall.
Yeah.
Now, I've always been good with locations, and I was looking at the map, and I said, okay, I'm going to go. So I picked where I was going to go around Husky Lakes, picked out landmarks that I'll remember, and away I went. And I just went out exploring and learning, and it's fun. But
Did you make it back to obviously?
yeah, absolutely. You just go on an adventure.
Did Move It beat you?
Yeah, but then when I was a kid, yeah, it was kind of fun. But
Yeah. Too funny. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry for laughing.
I haven't
My
thought of that story
cheeks.
forever.
That's the kind of thing I like though about
Yeah.
this show. Like I said, I like to tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like my favorite thing, especially when they're like funny. That
Yeah.
was really funny. Move It, yeah. He was an old, I don't even know what kind of dog he
I
was.
don't either. It was a long time ago.
He was like a German Shepherd, mix.
Mhm.
I just remember he was black and Nanny had him outside for
Yeah.
like probably 17 years. Like a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too funny. Do you have any other stories that you want to share?
I'm horrible on the spot. We'll just talk. If a story comes to my mind, I'll think.
Okay.
But
Yeah, no, like, I can only remember, like, camping, like I said. That's probably the only time we camped in the same area, was back when your mom was there. But she was always, like, I always remember, like, wanting to be next to her when she came into town.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys were just gone.
Yeah.
You and the boys were just, I don't even know, I think you were just driving with skidoos.
I think so. Doing what boys do.
I think so. Because you would have been, like, 11.
Yeah, I was young. So we moved away from here in grade 6. So I would have been 11. So it probably would have been my first year back.
Yeah.
But we tried to come home every spring.
Yeah.
But sometimes it didn't work out. But it's funny, like the years that, you know, a young Inuvialuit boy is supposed to learn how to shoot a caribou or skin. Those are the years that I spent down south. So to come back and learn that, you know, in my 30s, it was something that it kind of felt weird doing it, but it was something that I was also driven to learn and wanted to learn.
I remember when I was growing up, I remember just like, and this is going to be like total cliche, but I remember like you were in Calgary and that's where the cowboys were. And I remember when you came back home, we did like I don't know what kind of dance, it was like a waltz.
Yeah.
But you were like spinning me and I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And you were like, just follow.
Totally.
Yeah.
The benefits of living in Calgary.
Yeah. Too funny.
Yeah.
Do you teach Abby how to dance like that?
She's shy.
Yeah.
He'll come later.
Do you jig?
I don't. So that's why I learned to hunt. Talking about being in touch with your culture.
Yeah.
I got 2 left feet. I'm like a wounded caribou when I try to jig, so I just don't.
Maybe.
My wife's a professional. She jigs really
she's
good.
really good, yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I shouldn't partake in. That's probably a negative thing on our culture is me jigging, so.
You could put on cowboy boots.
I could, and then it will turn into a polka or something like that. Big guys like me don't float, so.
It will be like, you can make it work. I can see you make it work, cowboy boots.
I'm good. My culture is defined different ways. I don't need to jig to connect to my culture.
I'm just teasing. Too funny. Oh my goodness. This is why I wanted you on the show, though. I knew it was going to be good, and I knew there was going to be lots of laughing. Sorry.
It's fun. I want to inspire people because not everybody grew up with the opportunities to go out on the land. But it's definitely a proven fact that the land, you know, ties us and connects us, centers us in a way.
Yeah.
Puts a purpose. It gives you clarity. There's a lot of healing that happens out on the land that we're unaware of, and
yeah.
So yeah, I just want to give, you know, my avenue to connect is it's not typical. So to share my story might inspire others.
Yeah. Well, we all have that, like you said, how you got started with a cousin. We all have a cousin that can do this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know that that's the exact same way that Greg started out because he grew up here, not in Sax Harbor. And when he moved back to Sax Harbor, he was full on wanted to reconnect and learn all the different ways on hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
And then he did the same thing and taught whoever else was willing to learn. Absolutely.
I love Inuvik because our land, you know, it stretches from the Richardson Mountains down to the Peel River to, you know, it's all over to Tuck, to Stigi Lake. I mean, our land is so vast. And it lets you connect with every community. I mean, you have a friend. So, for instance, like, I went to the Richardson Mountains behind a Klavik last year, and I didn't know that country at all. I had a meeting with a guy, Jonas Miuk, who I've never really met, but I've seen his stories. He's actually a really good hunter. And we followed him up, and, you know, we laughed and told stories, and then we parted ways. But I mean, just that connection to each other where you find a common ground, you create these networks with people.
Yeah. Because we are all connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all in Inuvialuit. What was it like hunting in the mountains?
It was interesting. It was really cool. So typically we go south to the border area, just to see that kind of country. It's beautiful.
Did you hunt for caribou?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you ever go hunting for ram?
I want to, but I was told if you want to hunt a sheep, you gotta climb like a sheep. and I'm a big guy. I don't hunt. I can't scale a mountain too well. So, but it's definitely something that I want to do.
I don't know, like, okay, I consider myself a really brave person, or really brave. Like, when I was younger, before I had kids, I was always willing to do stuff. And we went up, not even a mountain, but like a really high cliff. And when I got down, my legs were like jello. And I wasn't scared up there. Yeah. And I wasn't scared coming down. But that feeling of my legs turning, I couldn't imagine doing that in a mountain. Because I heard it's shale. Yeah, like you have to go down sometimes on shale.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I just took a buddy out hunting. We went hunting up in the mountains a couple weeks ago. And we were on 4-wheelers. And like you said, it's all shale and it was raining. And so we go and there's kind of one way in, one way out. And we come down this big hill and when we get to the bottom, I'm like, oh, that's going to be a issue coming back up because of wet rocks.
Yeah.
But yeah, my buddy ended up getting so scared to climb this hill with the quad. So I had to walk back down the hill and then take the quad back up. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Good experiences. I mean, every trip that I have, a story or a memory, sticks out, and it's good to reflect back.
It is, because one day when we're elders, those are going to be the stories that we tell people.
Yeah.
That's how come I always consider Auntie Agnes now as so valued, because some of them are passing on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can take their stories and then have our stories of
absolutely
being connected to the land.
Yeah, and just see how our times are changing. I mean, if you look back at my mom and then her mom and like the last 100 years, how our cultures have evolved and how we live now. I mean, compare that to them. But we still try to hold on to the same values that they had.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when you think about it.
Isn't it interesting that Nanny lived to be 101? That when she was born, the rest of the world was evolving, and we were still nomadic.
Yeah.
I think that's mind-blowing, because she's only 3 generations from our generation. That's not very long.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that we were so disconnected. But I'm happy it was like that.
I am too.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we still have an area in our backyard that we could go and, live a nomadic life.
Yeah, and it is an inspiration, like you said, that, someone like you, I'm going to say fortunate, you did grow up down south, got the education, and you were able to come home and reconnect, which shows that it's possible that if people really try to, they can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Inuvik is really a special place. I agree. There are a lot of people here who are willing to just take people out or have people over for supper or share their traditional food. Yeah. Or connections on how to get like traditional clothing. Yeah. I seen that you posted last year that you were looking for a parka. Did you ever get it made?
Yeah, so I got a nice traveling parka made.
Yeah. Who made your parka?
Elsa Boudreaux.
Oh,
I was actually able to barter with her, so I bartered meat for a parka.
Yeah.
It was actually worked out really good.
Yeah.
So.
Did she use like feathers?
Yeah, so it's down-filled traveling pullover parka.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Greg has a traveling parka, but we didn't have down to do it. I'll tell a quick little story. I told it the last segment. We went muskox hunting, and if you ever get a chance to go muskox hunting, do it. It's exhilarating. But Greg and his dad, it was the springtime, Greg and his dad went to go and get muskox, and I just assumed it was going to be like any other hunt. And they went, and they were going to kill it, and then tie it up a string and drag it back. They did not. They left us with the sleds, 2 sleds, me and Yvonne, went with the skidoos, and herded them to us. So I'm like running around the sled, like, Yvonne, we're gonna get hit. Like, I was panicking, and she was laughing, like she wasn't, And then they harvested 2, but we sat there while Greg and Larry cut up the muskox, and me and Yvonne went like this and stripped the kiviuk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I should say that. Just because Greg's parka is filled with kiviuk.
Wow.
Yeah, and Yvonne did it. Like, she didn't have down like his mom. She made the whole parka And she like put it on her. I remember it was like a little bit tight in the shoulder, so she redid the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she...
That'd be interesting. It'd probably warm, hey?
Yeah. He says it's a little bit heavier, but he prefers it.
I love my traveling parka because I could wear it when it's -40, or I could wear it when it's -5, and I don't sweat, I don't get cold. It's just neutral.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool one year, and I was wearing Canada Goose down ski pants, jacket, hat, and mitts, and someone made a passing comment about how people don't use traditional clothes anymore. Or, boy, it's so bad people don't use traditional, something like that. And I remember being like, I don't know how to sew. Anyone want to teach me? I'm proud that I could buy this stuff.
Well, at least you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think that more people are choosing to start learning how to do that kind of stuff again.
There's a lot of programs put on that, help people that want to learn.
I saw Carmen make one.
Yeah, she's actually in a course right now making a jacket. So.
She made a beautiful purple one.
Yeah, I guess that's the under layer. There's a cover that goes on top of that.
Oh.
She'll post it, I'm sure.
How exciting.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I came up here, so I drove up here. When I left Calgary, I drove up here. And it was middle of winter on the Dempster. And I don't know, maybe I was just naive. But I had dress pants and leather shoes and a nice fancy jacket and my hair styled and going through a blizzard, and then I arrive in Inuvik, and I was staying at Ronnie's at the time, our cousin Ronnie, and he's like, "Where's your winter stuff?" I was like, "I don't have it." He's like, "You're an idiot. What are you doing?" But I didn't even think about that, right? Like I'm just all cityed up and not thinking of the elements. There'll be a 7-Eleven a couple kilometers away if I run into problems kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Right? But
I'm sorry I snort. It happens only when I'm genuinely laughing at something.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then about muskox. So last year when I was up behind a clavic there, we actually ran into a herd of caribou. And while we were going to them, we actually ran into a herd of 20 muskox.
Yeah.
That was my first time ever seeing one. And then they circled up around their young.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see. But I had no experience ever harvesting one, so I was a little hesitant. But I have plans this winter to go over with my wife's cousin and
do it.
Yeah.
I've done it with Greg.
I don't fly, so I'd love to go to Ulu or Sax to get that experience, but
if you ever get the chance, do it.
When I get a big enough boat to visit Ulu or Sax, I will make my way.
Just a schooner.
Yeah. There we go. Bring those back. Let's do that.
Oh my goodness, too funny. We have about 2 more minutes left on the show. Yeah. So I'm really happy that you came on.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Yeah, I wanted you to share your story, like I said, in an hour, just to talk about it. Oh, we have 5 more minutes. Okay, we have just a few more minutes. Sorry. But yeah, so just thank you for coming on our show. Do you want to say hi to anyone?
Hi to everybody. Hi to my family. I know a lot of you guys are watching, so hi.
I'm going to say hi to Denise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, Okay. We're given 5 more minutes now. I was going to say hi to Denise, all the way in Calgary.
Yeah.
I could tell a story about hunting. I remember when I was hunting in Sax Harbor. Like I said, I went hunting with Greg. Goose hunting and geese hunting and muskox. Never seen a wolf or anything. But we went for a ride and out on the ice. And Greg had harvested a few polar bears that year. And he's like, we're just going to go for a ride. We're just going to go for a ride. We had 2 skiddies at the time. I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's go for a ride. And he said that he wasn't going to get any more bears because he had gotten a few. And he stops. We're like half an hour outside of town. It wasn't very long. He stops and he stands up on a skidoo and he's looking with his binoculars and he looks at me and he looks down And he looks back at his binoculars, and I'm like, what? And he looks back down at me, like, big expression. And he was like, it's a big one. And I was like, what? What's a big one? And he's like, a bear. There's a polar bear. And I was like, oh my goodness. So he went to go get it. Like, he started chasing it. And he looked at me and he said, whatever you do, keep up. And I was like, okay. I was saying I was pretty brave, right? Saying, I can do it. I used to tell that to his mom and his dad. I could do it. I could do anything Greg does. I could just go with him and it'll be like perfectly fine. I'm not scared. I helped him cut up caribou. I helped him cut up muskox. You know, I went geese hunting with him and I shot a goose. Like, I wasn't scared. Climb that cliff. Be adventurous out in the land. This is before I had kids. We went chasing that bear and he had to like cross a crack. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't cross this crack. And he went first with the skidoo, and then he was like, jumped the crack. He got on the skidoo and he drove across it. So I was already left behind. Yeah. And he's chasing it, and there's like some big, not icebergs, but big blocks of ice. And I'm following him as he's chasing this bear. And he's like going, and he's chasing the bear, and I'm way behind, and the bear's up there. And then the bear runs around an iceberg. And it's going like this. So to a bear, it's going around, right? Yeah. Greg follows the bear, and I'm getting left behind. And I see the bear come this way, and I'm just driving, and I'm like, no! And I turn. And I'm like, beeline the other way. And I was like, I was scared I was going to get chased by a bear, but it went all the way. It did a full circle. And then Greg got the bear. But it ended up being 10'3". Wow. Yeah.
I've never been bear hunting. It's always something that I've wanted to do. Once again, I'll reach out to family. And...
So what ended up happening, though, was I was shaking. Like, I was, like, vibrating. I was shaking. And he was like, are you cold? And I'm like, it's just my adrenaline. I never said I was brave. I never said I could do everything. Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was a good hour. And thank you all for tuning in to the Tunnganarniq show. And we'll see you in the next episode.